I'm Barb Brent, and I'm a Systems Change Coordinator and Liaison here at the Sonoran. You said we were very, very happy that you're here. Today, this is the second in our series, of which there'll be several of them throughout the coming months, and it's career advancement and sustaining employment. And more specifically, our speakers today are going to share their thoughts on a few things: success in their current jobs and building a career path. And they're going to focus on a few things: how they started. Most people didn't start in their ideal job. So they're going to talk a little bit about how they reached more of their employment goals, how that was explored, how they use their self-advocacy skill, and who and what helped them along the way. So we have a short video kickoff because unfortunately our dear colleague, Gabe Martinez, who's a project aide and peer navigator here at the Sonoran Center, unexpectedly wasn't able to join us, but he really sets the stage for the topic today. We also have Pavi Madhavanan, who is brand new with us. That thumbs up, Pavi. And she's also a project aide and peer navigator and together in partnership with Brandy Jones, who is the Center's Director of Community Education and Outreach. And we're also extremely pleased to have Bill Lucero with us. He's part of the advocacy community here in Arizona and nationally, and he's a staff member for Self Advocates Becoming Empowered. Most of you will probably know that as SABE. So because Gabe couldn't be with us, he offered to pull together a short video about his employment journey and really gets us going for today. And Lizzie, could you please just cue that up? It's a few minutes and really worth listening to what Gabe has to say.
Hi everyone, I'm Gabe Martinez. For me, I'm a project aide and peer navigator. That I help kids to find jobs, and I just want you to know that how I get here, that makes me feel comfortable with my skills, like an office job, that I need. And so I'm going to share some things with you that I learned a lot of things. I'm a quick learner. I like to meet new people. Please let me know if you have any questions, and you can contact my supervisor, Brandy, James, and Barbara Brent. And if you have anything to connect with me, please let me know that you have anything in your mind to ask me any questions. So first of all, when I got here, I was a grocery clerk at Fresh Grocery Store. I went through that like 2 or 1 month, and I felt it. I like to bag. Then I did some carts outside, and I felt that carts pressure me, so I decided to quit my first job. That for me, I volunteered at 2 places because I want to help people to find jobs and future careers. I help people in the hospital to take patients in where they can go to, like blood work, EKG, second floor. Then I worked at Thursday Connects. I help kids to read books. I clean books. I organized. Then when I got here, that I heard about this job by my mom, and so I applied for that job. They hired me on the spot. 1 week later, I worked until COVID hit, and then if COVID hit, I had to work remotely, and we keep on doing that. All my skills, get on Zooms, different meetings that I get on. I did webinars, I did projects, I did conferences. So please let me know that in my role that I hold different roles. I'm a member of President Committee, the President Committee for people with intellectual disabilities in Washington, D.C. I'm a co-coordinator. I am a co-coordinator for Fonsara Way Project. I'm in an employment work group for the committee, the President Committee. And that means I help with 50 states of America to helping people in 50 states of America find jobs and their skills. And I'm a advisory committee for self-advocacy solutions. And we pay sensitive on to some partition talks. If you have information for me, please feel free contact my supervisor Brandy, James, and Barbara Brent. If you have any questions for me, please send some questions to Brandy and Barbara Brent. Please let me know if you have any more information. Thank you.
So as you can see, it would have been great to have Gabe here, but his message really is the foundation of what we're talking about today. Most people aren't in their first job, and a lot of people with disabilities start working at places like grocery stores, or maybe it wasn't what the dream job was. And Gabe knew from the start he wanted to help people. It was more stressful to do what some people thought was a less stressful job for someone with a disability than him helping people. So he volunteered, he increased his skills. A lot of us get our jobs through connections. It's not somebody who knows somebody. His mom heard something about this job. Here he is. But even as he talked about all the things he does, and by the way, if it was difficult to understand because of the video quality, he's been appointed to the President Biden's Committee on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. And as you noted, he kept talking about how he can help others. So I think that's the message of moving forward, increasing your advocacy skills, finding people to help you, and pushing forward to what's important to you. And again, hopefully you'll meet Gabe in the future when he's able to join in something else. So we thank Gabe for taking the time to do this, knowing that he has so many other things going on. I'm going to turn it over now to Pavi and Brandy, who I introduced earlier, and they're going to talk a little bit about Pavi's pathway to how she arrived at the Sonoran Center. And Brandy and Pavi are going to talk about that a little bit, give us some more information, and then we'll have our third speaker. But we're delighted to have Pavi and Brandy come speak with us. So take it away.
Thank you for the introduction, Barb. Hopefully you can hear us okay over here. So we're excited to hear from Pavi. Hold on one second. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, Pavi. So Pravi just started with us at the Sonoran Center. She's been here for about 3 weeks. So Pravi, can you tell us a little bit about how you found out about the job at the Sonoran Center, and then tell us about your work, your volunteer work with Special Olympics before you came to the Sonoran Center.
Okay, basically talking about my life journey is all about how I get here. So beside destination, the journey is more important. So my journey starts out saying, because I have realized I have a real life lived experience with new sudden shift of perspective. When I was a volunteer, it's like giving back or thinking about what I did for Special Olympics. But how I got to Special Olympic to Choronian. So let me be brief and honest. Why do I need to read my notebook? Because my answer is how I get here. It's about how everyone have their own past life or their lived experience. It's all about showing who we are. I am determined. I'm hardworking. I know how to get things done. I love to keep on working as anything as possibility. Disability would not define me because I am the person who want to be there for anyone, need to be having a good chemistry, a good friend, a good partnership, and I can be with those people because I want to help and encourage and inspire people. So that's who I am, but looking forward to helping the different young generation ahead. Even though I'm 27, I'm new, but what else can you learn about me or my disability? Because I'm more open to answer that.
Okay, great. You shared with us some great ideas about being positive and making some connections within the workplace. Can you help us learn a little bit more about how you prepared for interviewing for this position as a project aide at the Sonoran Center?
Well, Partha, can you please repeat that question?
Sure. So who helped you learn about interviewing for your new position as a project aide at the Sonoran Center?
Okay, as an example, yes, I have a college experience. Hopefully that will help to answer the question. Who helped me? Because at least there's lots of people, like example, like my mom, my dad, my doctor, my boss, Brandy James, and Miss Wendy Perrin Johnson. If she was there, I forgot to give a shout out because she was helpful with me to get the job, and my doctor, Dr. Batchford, but Dr. Tammy Batchford also helped me with this job.
Great. So you named some important people and connections that help you find the position. So what other things can you share with us today about how you've been successful and how to build success in a position such as yours?
Can you please be more clear on that?
Yeah,
How can
so
I
what,
answer that question?
sure. So what things can you share with others about being successful in your new position?
Okay, now let's see where you're going at it. Okay.
Mhm.
Being more successful is also based on a biggest key element of communication skills, time management, and building trust, and also have a good moral value because when you share something, then where do you share? How do people talk to you if you don't have a good value system or good experience how you talk to people?
Great. So these are some great skills and tips for career advancement, Pavi. Thank you for sharing those with us. So the next question I have for you is how will you continue to learn about your new position at the Sonoran Center? What things can you share with the audience about things that they can learn on the job?
This may be number 6. I don't if that's true.
Yes, that's right. Number 6.
I actually want to learn effective, confidential, self-assured to learn and to understand my position here at the Sororian Center. Because when you don't know anything, then how else will you adapt and share to people that who you are or how I can help out? Because I'm still learning and still want to understand how did I get here? How can I make an improvement? How can I show you that I am good at this job?
Great. So yeah, Bobby, you've done some great things sharing with us about what ways you can learn about a new position. You've watched some TED Talks, you've watched some motivational videos. So can you tell us a little bit about how you stay motivated and inspired at work?
So as an example, when you said, I would say only for TED Talks, Ms. Brandy, because motivational videos will be later, because when good speakers at TED Talks, my mother, the full description of her is Dr. Purnima Madhivanan. She's a public health doctor working with her partner, Carl Francis Club, as my father. So they're part of the public health. So as a new one, as a child with disability, I would say that, well, I'm still learning how to navigate this world, because there's a lot of new skills to learn, new ways that I can adapt. But how else can I do that without my parents? Like, I need to know how to do something on my own, like being on independent, take more risks. If I have any question, I am the person love to talk a lot. I love to ask a lot of questions. I'm a person who want to answer lots of questions, because that's how you can get through me. Because to be motivated, you need to find a different way to say, hey, so this is how I get inspired, by looking at good speakers role, or like Michelle Obama or Hillary Clinton, all of these public or public health relations of speakers. I want to be like those people. And I would say my experience being with those speakers will say, I had a friend, let me be brief, because you said to be short and crisp. I had a friend named Daniel Pandora talk about his life journey in a TED Talk. And I want to be one of those people to be a professional TED Talker, or my goal is to be a global speaker. Like, talk about who I am, like really, even with different gestures, or tell them that this is what I do for a living, this is what I am. Disability will never define what I can do, because there's things that I can share out of my perspective, my inspiration, and how I can motivate other people. Again, it's like I want to be similar like Gabe, but still I want to work with people, because my passion is all about people, interacting with people. I used to be very isolated, and I don't like to be isolated, because then you don't know where you want to be in life. You don't know what you want to aspire to.
Great. Thank you, Pavi. So Pavi gave us some great examples and tips on how she is motivated at work, how she built her connection to find a position and find sustainable employment. And also she talked about a long-term goal of being someone that is a motivational speaker. So she's using all the skills that she's learning right now in her position as a project aid and peer mentor here at the Sonoran Center, in hopes to do something like that in the future. So thank you so much, Pavi, for sharing that with us. And we will pass the baton on to Bill. Thank you so much, Pavi.
Pavi, really appreciate it. So helpful and good messages. It's now my pleasure to turn this over to Bill Lucero. He can introduce more about himself. I asked Bill what he would like to have as his formal introduction, and because he has so many hats, and I was going to put a little shot of hats, I didn't, and so he said, "Well, just say I'm an employee at SABE." Again, that it's been around a long time, and Bill and some of his family members and our Arizona has played a strong part in this national movement. It's self-advocates becoming empowered. And Bill will share a little bit about what's been a journey that a lot of people experience, with some pieces not so good. And he'll share a little bit about what happened in school and what could have been better, but his own fortitude and building connections. And I think we've talked about connections all the way through this. How he is where he is today, discovering talents and tips for others. And Bill, it's truly an honor. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for asking me to join today. I really do appreciate you guys thinking about me for this. But yes, my name is Bill Lucero. Again, self-advocates becoming empowered. Yes, many hats. Because it's usually I either pick up what someone doesn't want to do, or I do some extra things on the side for them. For example, I do a lot of the photography and videography that they need for their projects, as well as I do presentations for their Go Voter project, which is informing people with disabilities pretty much their rights and of voting, and what pretty much help them to be successful when voting. So that's one of those other projects that I do. And then pretty much a lot of their handouts and everything, I do create those handouts and posters for their social media page. But yes, so I guess we can start pretty much where it all started pretty much. So I know IEP is still a thing that that a lot of people with individuals with disabilities do have.
And Bill, would you, in case somebody doesn't know the acronym, I'm assuming everybody does, it might be good just to say it for some people that may, it's unbelievable, somebody may not.
It's been so long, I don't even remember what it is.
Individual education plan that people
There
get
it
in
is.
school if they need support.
Yes, there it is. There it is. But with that, a lot of people don't know that they have the opportunity to actually host their IEP and be there. So it's not just enclosed with your guardian and your teachers. You guys can be there. So your voice can be heard, because the whole point of it is to let them know what you want. So why wouldn't you be there to actually know what you actually want in your learning environment? And at first, a lot of my teachers, they didn't really like that, because it was like they felt like I don't know if they felt like that they wanted my mom or the teachers or the principal to like, I don't know, hide stuff or say, I think this is what he needs, and but yeah, they didn't like it at first. So it was hard to get used to me being there, because they didn't really have a lot of people who wanted to be there for their IEP. It was just something that they did with their parents, and that was it. And whatever resources they think you needed, you got. But yes, that was the stepping stone pretty much for my self-advocacy journey. And that led into all the way into high school, where I continued to be at my IEPs. It changed a little, where you can't really have the same exact resources as you would probably in like your middle school and like Head Start and everything. So it was a little different with high school, because you actually have to do more work. And they especially with like getting credits and everything, so it comes more down to the individual doing that. And so it was a big thing with me, trying to keep up with all of the other students. Oh, I didn't even say what my disability was, and it is I do have a learning disability, and it's pretty much decoding words and making sentences pretty much. It doesn't seem like I have that learning disability as much as it's because I've been practicing and been doing presentations and talking to people a lot. So doing all that stuff actually helped me out with my disability. And I get it is one of those invisible disabilities, but because I stepped in for what resources I wanted, I was able to achieve bettering myself pretty much as an individual. And it was nice. It was nice that I could do that. So I really do thank my mom for pushing me pretty much to join those IEPs. But yes, speaking back with high school, again, you had to do, it was a lot more work on, for myself, because again, we didn't get all the resources that I would like. So we were pretty much nailed down to like 3 things that I could do. And that was getting extra time, having a resource class, and then pretty much if I need to take a test, I can go to a quiet spot pretty much, which was like pretty much the library. And with that stuff, it did help me a lot. Being able to actually leave class to go to pretty much my quiet place to take these tests, or if I need a little bit more time, I could do that as well. So that helped me out. And then again with the resources that you're limited to, going into college, I was actually unable to actually take advantage of those resources at times. So I had to stay in my classes for the test. So I couldn't leave or retake it, anything. I was able to have a note writer and everything. But some of those resources I was unable to actually take advantage of going into college. I do know one thing with transitioning into college. With high school, again, like I was saying with the resources class, I don't believe I was actually getting credit for those. So I was missing out on a lot of those credits from pretty much having the resource classes through my whole entire high school. And again, it plays a part with the grades as well. But yeah, I missed out on some of those credits to the point where I might have not been able to graduate high school. And at first they were my resource teachers, they were fine with that. They said what they were trying to push on me was to go into the pretty much I forgot what they're called. I think they're like the magnet schools, where they are building your like to a career that you want to have, like if you don't know what you want to do. And they were pushing me towards that instead of like trying to go to going to college and everything. And we're like, no, I want to graduate with all of my fellow peers. And what I actually had to do at the time, Suns Diamondbacks, if you guys don't know, that's an alternative school. I was able to attend that, which was nice because actually at the time the principal was a resource teacher. So building into all of my resources that I need, I felt like I had more resources at my disposal than I did at my regular high school, which was nice because, like, again, the principal knew everything that that someone with disability might need for their learning, and it was nice to have that because he was able to help me out finish my classes that I needed to actually graduate with my fellow peers. So I graduated on time. So yeah, that was a big barrier. I felt pressured that I wasn't going to be able to do that. But I was able to do it. So I was very thankful to them about that. So I'm out of school now. So we're out of school, and I needed to start looking for a job and pretty much deciding what I wanted to do. So at first, I was actually pretty much giving up my time and pretty much going and volunteering with SABE and other local self-advocacy groups at the time. So that what has really helped me build that connection with SABE. I've always been around SABE since I was younger, and I was always at their presentations and board meetings and everything that they would do. Because of my mom, she was already there, so I was there. I got to know more people to like pretty much help me find a career that I wanted to as well, because I was around other self-advocates, and that was really nice to do that because it helped me actually finally get a job. I think after like 5 years, I think 4 or 5 years of volunteering with SABE, and they're like, Bill, you've done all this for us. And they're like, well, we want to pay you this time. So that was my stepping stone into doing things that I enjoyed. I love creating things, and it was a good thing because that's what they needed. They needed someone who was going to be there to take pictures, do videos, at the same time, do presentations with them. So I love doing all those things. So it was a win-win for both of us. And it was actually nice to actually meet a bunch of people with disabilities as well, because then I got to hear their stories, and then actually be champions for some of those South Africans who couldn't really get their voice to be heard. So which was really nice as well, because I've met so many individuals over the time being with SABE that it's been a real honor to see some of these advocates who've done so many things for the disability community, and it just feels rewarding being part of SABE and getting to do stuff with them. But yes, so finally I was able to get paid for a lot of the things that I do, like I was saying earlier, for taking videos and taking pictures and stuff when they go on to their meetings, or if they needed actual specific videos made. I was able to do that. Let's see what else. What haven't I touched on?
No, one of the things when you and I've been talking, and I've also worked with SABE a long time, and I didn't know the behind the scenes on your journey, but we talked a little bit about how other self advocates encouraged you. So maybe a minute on what SABE is. Many people know, but maybe not all. And then just that gentle pressure for you to have high expectations and keep moving.
So again, Self Advocates Becoming Empowered. They are a organization ran by people with disabilities for people with disabilities, and they do have a lot of projects that they do work with through different states. Like we have the Go Voter project that I was talking about. Again, that is pretty much helping people with disabilities learn about the voting process and what they need to do to be a successful voter. We also have another project that they do. It's called the Self-Advocacy Resource for Technical Assistance Center, which is short for StarTech, which is pretty much like they award grants for people with the community living centers for technical assistance. So like technology based stuff. I know we've made a technology handbook for people with disabilities. So it's pretty much like step by step on how to, like at the time we did how to sign up for Facebook and how to upload a video and things like that. How to update your Windows and stuff, which at the time is like it was like groundbreaking when we did it, because it helped out so many individuals with technology. But they also, like I said, they also award grants for other groups that will think of other things like that to help out people with disability. Pretty much like resources. It's like the Google search of resources, pretty much. What else have we done? We also have so again, with COVID happening a while back, we actually were able to partner up with the CDC, and we were able to make videos about vaccinations and educating people with disabilities about the vaccine and some of the facts that the CDC were putting out. We were pretty much putting that in plain language. If you're familiar with plain language is, it's just like easier to read, smaller words, and they're not too difficult to read. Because again, with our audience, we wanted to make sure that they understood what was happening. But yeah, that's pretty much a small thing with SABE. And
How did they push you? How did they push you and yet encourage you to find out those skills you weren't even sure you had?
sheesh. Well, I think the big thing with what SABE really helped me with, and I did say it earlier, was stepping out of my comfort zone, presenting to people. I think that was probably the big thing that pretty much helped me a lot, because I at first I was a very quiet person. It might not seem like it now, but I was quiet. I like being the person in the background, like only spoken to or only speaking when spoken to, or if you needed me, I'll be there to talk and everything. But that's how I was at first. I was pretty much just in the background. And then Teresa Moore, she was always pushing me, trying to get me. I was pretty much voluntold, which was good. I'm glad that she voluntold me to do that, because again, like, it helped me out, being comfortable talking to a lot of people. I know camera shy is a big thing as well. That helped me at the time be pretty much fine with being on camera. Because sometimes they would either live stream it or they would record our presentation. So sometimes you can just be very nervous, and especially with my disability, I would get nervous, and I would either like pause a lot or say or yeah, or twiddle my fingers and not really know what I wanted to talk about. So yeah, I'm really glad that they pushed me to present and just to get out of my comfort zone, because I know that's a big barrier for a lot of people with disabilities, is that comfort zone of wanting to either express yourself or trying to learn how they can speak up, because a lot of people with disabilities don't really have the aren't really that, I guess they don't really get as pushed to speak up and say what they want to actually be done for themselves as an individual, or asking for resources. I think that's a big one as well too. They don't want to feel like they're too much of a burden to our either to our guardians or whoever, and they just would stay quiet. And I've been told that a few times from self advocates, that they didn't really feel like their voice was being heard, because they were either scared or didn't know what to say or what to ask for. And so being a champion for them and helping them speak up for themselves is that played a big part as that as well, because I've met a lot of people who were like me, who didn't want to really talk and stuff, and them seeing me talking and expressing myself, that actually made them want to do the same exact thing. And it helped them out so much, because now they have so many opportunities that they could take advantage of now.
Bill, this was wonderful, and you really covered the things that we talked about. And you hear the themes across everyone that's speaking about, having some, and Bill, you traveled a little bit more difficult road, I think, about the supports and services that might have been available while you were in school, and not getting credit for some courses. So you had to scramble to even be able to graduate with your class, and that everybody wants to, all three of you are interested in helping others, and maybe didn't know your own potential, and that there's a piece about connections. There's a piece about advocating for yourself, and there's a piece about support. And I'm sure there are other pieces that go in that wheel, but they've all been essential. And very proud of what all of you have accomplished. And I've seen you in action, and really like what you do. We do have time for questions. And Lizzie, if it's okay, a number of them came to me directly for Bill. I'm not sure why, but sometimes, with technology, it comes to me.
Perfect. Yeah, so let's transition to Q&A. And Barb, why don't we start with the questions you've received? And then
Okay.
others in the meeting, if you have your questions, feel free to share them in the chat or go ahead and raise your hand like we discussed at the beginning, and we'll make our way to you. So, Barb?
So, Bill, you can't watch all this that's going on in the chat where you're presenting, nor could Pavi, and of course, Gabe wasn't here to watch them, but there was a reflection that, and for you too, Pavi, and Lizzie will go through those, but just how important how you stress self-advocacy is hard when you're in school, and that this family member is working very hard to teach her children that the importance of self-advocacy. And then there is, and I don't know if this is still the alternative school is even around, but what was the name again of the school that you attended for high school?
So Suns Diamondbacks, and I don't believe it's still there.
I don't either.
Yeah, I don't think it's still around anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah, I do believe that the Diamondbacks are still very active in the advocacy community. And so there are connections, but I don't think the school's there either. So I'm glad you shared that. And then there was a question, I think this is for everybody, is everybody based in Tucson? Pavi is working out of Tucson. Gabe is working out of Tucson. Bill does not live in Tucson. SABE, the Self Advocates Becoming Empowered, is national. So work is everywhere. And I will say that, and others can chime in, particularly would like to hear from Brandy that knows the scope of the work that Pavi and Gabe do, but they work on a number of national and state committees as well. So we're a flexible group and provide the support wherever we can. And then there's another one about getting more information about SABE. I know you can't do that during this conversation, but I've got some, but I think you really be the best person, Bill. And if you send it to us, we'll push it out to everybody that had joined our webinar today.
I can, if I may, I can post the link to the website as well.
Perfect. There are people that worked for the family organizations. There's some, not in every state. Here in Arizona, it's Raising Special Kids. And this is just for the broader group. And the notion was that it'd be really great for families, information for a lot of families to have, realizing that whole note about how you support your son, daughter, brother, sister, however that family relationship works, to have those early expectations, to support your loved one, to push toward their own ISP and direct as much as they can. And so we can make sure that we can get that going. And so as this goes in there, that information about SABE can go to any family network, which again, in Arizona, that is Raising Special Kids. So, and then those were, and it doesn't matter if you live in Tucson or not. The resources you see on SABE, the resources that you can get from this excellent group of speakers, they're happy to talk to any of you. And those were the questions that were in my queue, Lizzie.
Perfect. Thanks, Barb. Does anyone else in the group have any questions? They could be general questions to pose to our presenters, specific things perhaps that Bill spoke about, or Pavi in her presentation. You can feel free to raise your hand or come off mute if you'd like, or go ahead and put them in the chat. We do have a few more minutes here. And also, of course, Gabe couldn't join us today, but he would be happy to answer any questions as well. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask Gabe, you can either put them in the chat or follow up with us after today's session, and we'd be more than happy to pass them along. Oh, so we do have a question in the chat. My son loves anime, and when Bill, he would like to talk to Bill. Would he be up to it?
Sure, sure.
Thanks, Bill. You do have quite the background there.
Yes, I guess distracting sometimes, but yes, thank you.
One thing I was wondering about for any of our speakers today, you all hit some barriers along the way with, having to volunteer first but maybe not always getting the support that you needed. So what advice might you have for others that maybe feel that they need some extra support? What kept you going? And so, Pavi, do you feel like that's something you'd feel comfortable answering? What helps you with support? What keeps you going? Oh, Pavi had to leave for the day. Never mind. Hey, Bill, what advice do you have for others about when you feel a little stuck or you were stuck on your journey? What kinds of things helped you and advice for others?
I think the best thing is, like I was saying, always being around people with disabilities, I guess, is what helps me going, because I know, like I did mention it a few times, they don't really get to have that limelight that when they need anything really, and sometimes they need a champion that can actually speak up for them, for the little mans. And I think that's what probably keeps me going, is helping out people, knowing what kind of resources that they could take advantage of, because there's so many resources out there, and they don't really know what's really out there. And so I will be more than happy to help them out and show them some of those resources, or like what SABE and other self-advocacy organizations have that they could take advantage of there locally in their state. Other than that, I don't know. I think that's probably good for what I said.
No, it sounds great. And so, Lizzie, I'll bring it back to you.
Doesn't look like we've received any other questions. But if you do have a question, sort of last call here, feel free to put it in the chat or come off mute. Or I did write in the chat, if you have questions that you would prefer be addressed privately, maybe you're not comfortable speaking up on the webinar today, that's completely fine. You can feel free to send those to our shared email address at uced@arizona.edu. And we'll be happy to address them later or connect you back with Bill or Pavi or Gabe or anyone who spoke today. Also in the chat, I will highlight, we are going to be sharing a couple of surveys to complete for today. If you wouldn't mind taking just a few moments to fill out the surveys in the chat. We have one for self-advocate participants themselves, and then one for supporters or parents or caregivers. Your feedback is really important to us in terms of making sure that these sessions are addressing what you want and need them to address, and helping to inform future content that we put out through this series and as a center as a whole. So thank you very much, and I hope you'll take the time to fill those out. Barb, did you have any closing words?
No, other than to say thank you to our speakers for telling their stories, what helped them along the way, and how to keep encouraging others to keep moving on the dreams that they want for themselves. And thank you for participating, and have a good rest of your day. There will be a recording of this available later. And again, Thanks to our speakers, and thanks for all of you that joined us today. And there's lots of